AMC was the underdog no one saw coming, yet they built some of the quickest 70 muscle cars ever. These quarter-mile monsters embarrassed the big three when the light turned green. Let's see which ones really destroyed the strip. While Ford and GM flexed big budgets, AMC made raw, snaky street fighters. Lightweight, big cubes, wild colors, and 1,320 feet of pure attitude. Some were so fast they got banned, others just vanished into legend. Today, they're the forgotten kings of the drag strip. Buckle up, here are 10 fastest 1970 AMC muscle cars that smoked the quarter mile and left the big boys shaking. Top 1. 1970 AMC Rebel Machine. Picture this, a red, white, and blue street brawler that could leave GTOs and roadrunners sucking fumes. In 1970, AMC decided enough was enough. They unleashed the Rebel Machine, a factory-built quarter-mile assassin disguised as a muscle sedan. AMC needed street cred, so they took the humble Rebel SST and gave it a steroid shot. A 390 cubic inch V8, a massive ram air hood scoop, and outrageous patriotic paint. Out front, that scoop wasn't just for show. It gulped air like a vacuum, feeding a beefy 340 horsepower through a 4-barrel carb and high-flow heads. This Rebel machine weighed just over 3,700 pounds, but could rocket from 0-60 in about 6.4 seconds, with quarter-mile passes dipping into the low 14s. For 1970, that was enough to ruin plenty of Mopar and GM street heroes at the stoplight. Inside, it was all business. High-back bucket seats, machine-turned dash trim, and a big factory tack to keep you honest. Only about 2,326 Rebel machines were built, mostly in the iconic red, white, and blue livery that screamed, "Come get some." Underneath, they sported heavy-duty suspension, power front discs, and stout 3.54 gears, with optional 3.91s for the truly unhinged. The machine was fast, maybe too fast. Insurance companies pounced, jacking rates through the roof. Many kids couldn't afford to keep them on the road, and plenty got wrecked street racing after dark. What was AMC's loudest muscle car became one of its rarest survivors, a symbol of when the underdog dared to punch back. Today, a pristine Rebel machine can fetch well into 6 figures at auction, out-muscling modern pony cars in the collector market and proving AMC's short fuse burned bright enough to light up the quarter mile forever. But if you think a 4-door sleeper was wild, wait until you see AMC's next shot at giant killers. A pint-sized Hornet packing V8 fury that terrorized Camaros and Mustangs on the drag strip. Top 2, 1971 AMC Hornet SC/360. What happens when you cram a big 360 V8 into AMC's compact Hornet? You get the SC/360, a pocket-sized drag strip menace that left bigger, badder muscle cars shaking their heads at the stoplight. By 1971, the muscle car era was gasping under rising insurance rates and smog controls. AMC, never afraid of being different, took their economy Hornet and gave it the heart of a rebel, the potent 360 cubic inch V8 from the Javelin. Rated at 245 horsepower with a 2-barrel, but the real fun started when you ordered the 4-barrel Go package. Now you had 285 horsepower, dual exhaust, power front discs, heavy-duty suspension, and a functional ram air hood scoop. From the curb, the SC/360 didn't look too outrageous, just bold stripes, SC/360 callouts, mag wheels, and that sneering hood scoop. But fire it up and you'd hear the throaty rumble that let everyone know this wasn't Grandpa's grocery getter. Inside, it was basic but businesslike. High back buckets, floor shifter, and an 8,000 RPM Suntac bolted to the dash by more than a few street racers. 0-60? 6.7 seconds, with quarter-mile passes in the low to mid-14s when driven right. AMC only managed to build around 784 SC/360s before the insurance companies clamped down and sales fizzled, making it one of the rarest small-block screamers of the 70s. Because they looked so unassuming, many were flogged on Friday nights and traded off by Sunday. Survivors are unicorns now, and any numbers-matching SC/360 draws big crowds, and even bigger bids whenever one surfaces. The Hornet SC/360 proved AMC could do more with less, a scrappy, affordable street warrior that made a lot of Camaro and Mustang owners think twice about that next stoplight challenge. But if you think this hornet stung hard, just wait until you see what AMC did when they let their flagship Javelin loose with a tire-shredding 401 and a Trans Am attitude that turned the quarter mile into its personal playground. Top 3. 1971 AMC Javelin AMX 401 Go Package. Some cars flex at car shows. The 1971 Javelin AMX 401 Go Package didn't flex. It straight up punched you in the face with raw American horsepower. On the quarter mile, this thing turned AMC's pony car into a legitimate stoplight assassin that didn't care what badge was on your GTO, Mustang, or Camaro. By 1971, the Javelin had been redesigned with wild fender bulges, a meaner grille, and an attitude that screamed, "I'm not your average AMC." But the real firepower lay under the hood. The optional 401 cubic inch V8, conservatively rated at 330 horsepower, but rumored to push closer to 350 when properly tuned. Check the right boxes and you'd get the Go package, AMC's performance bundle that stacked a functional ram air hood, heavy-duty cooling, twin-grip differential, power front discs, and beefy suspension to keep that 401's grunt hooked up. Add Magnum 500 wheels and racy stripes, and you had a street brawler that looked like a Trans Am racer gone rogue. Inside, the AMX trim meant high-backed buckets, a floor-mount Hurst shifter, rally gauges, and an interior that was equal parts sporty and Spartan. Pure focus on speed. 0 to 60? Around 6.3 seconds, with quarter-mile blasts in the high 13s if you knew how to launch it. Only about 745 Javelins left the factory with the 401 Go package in 1971, which explains why they're a holy grail for AMC fans today. This wasn't just some kosher street machine. AMC's Javelin AMX went racing in Trans Am, flipping the bird to Camaro Z/28S and Mustang Boss 32 SS. That winning pedigree gave the street version instant street cred, and an auction price tag that'll make your eyes water today. Today, surviving 401 Go package cars are top-dollar collectibles, proving AMC didn't just play in the muscle car wars. They swung above their weight class and left tire marks on Detroit's biggest names. But if you think the Javelin was wild, wait till you see what AMC did when they handed the keys to their designers and said, "Add Pierre Cardin's flair to all this horsepower and see how loud we can really get." The result? One of the boldest quarter-mile machines of the decade. Top 4. 1972 AMC Javelin SST401 Pierre Cardin. What happens when you take AMC's baddest street engine and wrap it in haute couture? You get the 1972 Javelin SST Pierre Cardin, the muscle car that proved speed and style could clash and still turn heads at the drag strip. By 1972, AMC knew it needed something to stand out from the big three, so they cut a deal with Paris fashion icon Pierre Cardin to design a special interior for the Javelin SST. The result? Wild multicolor pleated seats, door panels stitched in sweeping stripes of red, white, and purple, and a tiny signature plaque that let everyone know this was no bargain basement coupe. Under the hood, buyers could still tick the box for the fire-breathing 401 V8, a big block powerhouse pushing out 330 horsepower and enough torque to roast polyglass tires all day. That's what made the Cardin cars so insane you could have showroom couture and run mid-14s in the quarter mile. Of the estimated 4,152 Pierre Cardin editions produced, it's believed that fewer than 200 ever left the factory with the full 401 Go package setup. Most buyers settled for the base 304 or mid-level 360, never dreaming the prettiest Javelin could also be the nastiest. These 401 Cardins flew under the radar for decades. Many got reupholstered or lost their fancy stripes, treated like any old used Javelin, until AMC diehards realized just how rare they really were. Today, an original Pierre Cardin SST with its factory 401 and intact designer interior can fetch surprising money at auction. It's a rolling time capsule that shows AMC was never afraid to let fashion and horsepower collide. But if you think a designer muscle car was wild, wait until you meet the next AMC legend, a big bad AMX that made factory color options look like a neon punch to the face. Top 5 1970 AMC AMX 390 Big Bad Colors. If you thought muscle cars had to wear somber paint to be taken seriously, the 1970 AMX 390 Big Bad Colors just laughed in your face, This was AMC's bright, brash middle finger to the idea that performance couldn't be flashy. In 1970, the AMX was AMC's no-compromise two-seater bruiser, a direct answer to the Corvette, but with the muscle car edge turned to 11. Under the hood sat the 390 cubic inch V8, pushing out 325 horsepower and a stump-pulling 420 pound-feet of torque. Hooked to a 4-speed, this featherweight short-wheelbase beast could hit 60 mph in under 6 seconds and rip the quarter-mile in the mid-14s, easily outrunning plenty of Chevels and GTOs at the strip. But what really made these AMXs unforgettable was the Big Bad option. 3 retina-melting special order colors: Big Bad Orange, Big Bad Blue, and Big Bad Green, paired with color-keyed bumpers and wild stripes. Only 122 AMXs were ever painted in Big Bad colors for the 1970 model year, and of those, just fewer than 50 were 394 speed cars with the Go package, the setup you needed if you wanted to destroy the quarter mile and look like a rolling Hot Wheels at the same time. Back then, many buyers chickened out and ordered more traditional hues. Dealers even repainted some Big Bads to sell them. Many of these psychedelic beasts were beat to death at drag strips or lost their original paint under layers of resale red. Today, a real Big Bad AMX with its original 390 Go pack and matching paint is a 6-figure showstopper. It's proof that AMC wasn't afraid to break every rule in Detroit's color wheel. But if you think neon colors were bold, buckle up. The next AMC terror used an economy body and a monster 401 swap to humiliate vets and Mopars alike. Top 6. 1972 AMC Gremlin XR411. You think a Gremlin was just a quirky Eco2 box? Think again. The 1972 AMC Gremlin XR401 was Detroit's nastiest prank, an economy hatchback that could obliterate big block Camaros and leave Corvette drivers staring at a tailgate full of attitude. In the early 70s, the Gremlin was AMC's oddball answer to the import invasion. Small, cheap, and fuel-friendly. But in back-alley dealerships like Randall AMC in Arizona, the story got way spicier. Inspired by Mr. Norm's Dodge Dart swaps, Randall decided to yank out the tame 6 cylinders and drop in AMC's fire-breathing 401 cubic inch V8. These dealer swaps weren't official AMC builds, they were backdoor terrors. With a conservative 330 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque, the XR401 could do 0 to 60 in about 5.7 seconds and blast the quarter mile in the low 13s insane for a subcompact hatch with the aerodynamics of a cinder block. Only about 2021 Gremlin XR401s were ever built through dealer conversions, making them rarer than a Hearst SC/Rambler or Rebel machine. Outside, they kept the sleeper vibe, basic Gremlin lines, some discreet badges, and maybe a hood scoop if you got lucky. Inside, it was pure Street Fighter: bench seat, Hearst shifter, and a tack mounted where the glove box should have been. Local drag racers loved them, cheap, light, and shockingly fast. But insurance companies hated them, and emissions inspectors didn't want a 401 in a car that started life as a grocery getter. Most were stripped, blown up, or vanished when gas got pricey. Today, a real-deal Randall XR401 Gremlin is nearly priceless. If you find one, you've found the holy grail of AMC's street freaks, a muscle car in a hatchback's disguise. But if you think a mutant Gremlin was the ultimate sleeper, the next AMC is proof that the Javelin could mix pony car swagger with quarter-mile brutality like nobody else. Top 7. 1974 AMC Javelin AMX 401. When most muscle cars were gasping for air in the mid-70s, the 1974 AMC Javelin AMX 411 showed up like a rebel holdout, the last shot fired in AMC's horsepower war. A dying breed? Maybe. But on the quarter mile, this underdog still packed a punch that embarrassed cars twice its price. By 1974, the Javelin had grown up. Longer, wider, with muscular Coke bottle hips that made it stand out in any parking lot. But under that flared skin, the AMX 411 was all about old-school muscle, a 401 cubic inch V8 cranking out a conservative 255 net horsepower. But real-world dyno pulls proved it made closer to 320 gross horses. Pair that with a 4-barrel, carb, dual-exhaust, heavy-duty suspension, and AMC's iconic Go package upgrades, and you had a big-bodied pony car that could still rip 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds and run the quarter mile in the high 13s. Not bad for a time when smog pumps and insurance rates were killing everything with a V8. Inside, you got high back bucket seats, sporty rally gauges, a wood-grain dash, and an optional floor-shifted automatic, or the close ratio 4-speed. Fewer than 500 1974 Javelin AMX 421s were built, making them some of the rarest final-year big-block AMC muscle machines. Most buyers ignored the last AMX. Gas prices were climbing, and insurance companies drooled at the chance to hike your premium. Many 401 Javelins were stripped for their engines to power Gremlins, Hornets, or backyard drag builds, meaning a surviving, numbers-matching 74 AMX 401 is a needle in a haystack today. The last of its kind, the 74 AMX 401 is now a collector's dream. It's the swan song that proves AMC refused to die quietly, blasting through the quarter mile while its competition bowed to EPA regulations. But if you think this last stand was AMC's final wild idea, wait till you see the Matador machine, a concept so radical it should have never made it past the drawing board. Top 8. 1971 AMC Matador machine concept. Most people think Matador and picture a cop car or a family sedan. But in 1971, AMC nearly flipped the script with the Matador machine concept, a big-body street bruiser that could have turned the quarter mile into its personal bull ring. This thing was so fast on paper that even AMC's brass got cold feet. By 1971, the Matador had replaced the Rebel in AMC's mid-size lineup. It was roomy, stylish in a weird, edgy way, and built like a tank. But deep in the design studio, AMC's engineers were itching to repeat the magic of the Rebel machine. So they dreamed up the Matador machine concept, a two-door hardtop with the full Go package treatment and a 401 cubic inch V8 under the hood. On paper, the 401 made 330 horsepower gross, but with dealer tweaks, headers, and a holy carb, it easily pumped out over 360 horses and 430 pound-feet of torque. Imagine a big Matador, stripped of its police car weight, sporting a functional Ram Air hood scoop, bold machine stripes, Magnum 500 wheels, and beefy tires ready to eat the drag strip alive. 0 to 60? Estimated in the low 6s. Quarter mile, mid to high 13s. Not bad for a full-size sleeper that could still haul your buddies to the drive-in. But only 1 or 2 prototypes were ever built, and the project was scrapped before production because AMC worried it wouldn't sell in the age of rising insurance rates and new emissions rules. One Matador machine prototype was rumored to have run exhibition passes at local tracks, beating GTOs and Chevelles just to prove a point, before vanishing into the history books. Today, the Matador machine is an AMC ghost story. If you ever find one in a barn, you're looking at the ultimate forbidden fruit, a muscle car that could have rewritten AMC's final chapters but never got its shot. The Matador machine concept proves AMC was never afraid to dream bigger and go wilder, even if those dreams got locked away behind factory doors. But AMC's hunger for forbidden speed didn't stop here. They took that same big block 401 Fury and squeezed it into a compact Hornet, a sleeper so rare most people still don't believe the 401X even existed. Top 9. 1972 AMC Hornet 401XX. You think a Hornet's just a grocery getter? Think again. In 1972, AMC's backdoor tuners took the humble Hornet and injected it with full-size muscle, birthing the Hornet 401X, a factory freak that turned local quarter miles into its personal playground. The Hornet started life as AMC's compact answer to the Maverick and Nova. Cheap, practical, and totally unassuming. But deep in the files of certain high-performance dealerships, rumors swirled of a special-order Hornet stuffed with AMC's biggest motor, the 401 cubic inch V8, the same beast used in the Rebel machine and Javelin AMX. This sleeper swap wasn't advertised. In small batches, word-of-mouth buyers could order a Hornet 401X complete with the Go package bits, heavy-duty suspension, beefed-up drive shafts, bigger brakes, a beefy rear end, and a Holley 4-barrel carb delivering up to 330 horsepower gross. All stuffed in a compact shell weighing just over 3,100 peels. Slammed the throttle, and the Hornet 401X launched from 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds, devastating Chevelles and Novas that never saw it coming. Only a handful, estimates say fewer than 50 dealer-built units, ever roamed the streets. Most owners bought these cars purely to terrorize the drags. Many got gutted for parts or drag stripped into oblivion. Surviving 401X Hornets are so scarce that some collectors argue they never officially existed, but the pink slips and smoky burnout photos say otherwise. Today, a real Hornet 401 wax is a holy grail for AMC fanatics. A no-badge, no-nonsense street fighter that turned the economy car nameplate into a drag strip demon. But if you think the Hornet was the wildest compact in AMC's playbook, wait until you see what they did when they turned the Gremlin, yes, the quirky subcompact, into a big block burnout machine that no one expected. Top 10 1971 AMC Gremlin X Drag. What happens when you take the weirdest AMC ever built, the stubby little Gremlin, and feed it enough V8 muscle to torch the quarter mile? You get the Gremlin X Drag, a compact freak that left Camaro owners scratching their heads at the local strip. In the early 70s, the Gremlin was AMC's anti-import, a quirky, chopped hatchback designed to steal buyers from the VW Beetle and Pinto. But the madmen in AMC's performance circle knew something the marketing guys didn't. A light body plus a big motor equals drag strip gold. Enter the Gremlin X Drag. Certain dealers and street racers figured out you could stuff a 304 or even the mighty 401 cubic inch V8 into the Gremlin's tiny engine bay. But the real monsters were the homebrew drag builds. Stripped interiors, fiberglass fenders, big slicks tucked under flared wheel wells, and 401S tuned with hot cams and hollies pushing well over 400 horsepower. With barely 3,000 pounds to push, the Gremlin X Drag could hit 0 to 60 in the low 6s, or quicker if you hooked it upright. Quarter-mile passes in the high 12s weren't just possible, they were common for these street-legal circus acts. Fewer than 20 true drag-built Gremlin X monsters were ever known to prowl the Midwest's outlaw strips. Most got thrashed, blown apart for parts, or disappeared into the underground street racing scene. These freaks were never on a sales sheet, never officially sanctioned, yet they embarrassed Chevelles, Roadrunners, and Mustangs every Friday night. In an era of corporate muscle, the Gremlin X Drag was pure backyard rebellion. Today, surviving examples, if you can find one, are cult heroes for AMC diehards. Some have fetched over 6 figures at auction when documented with period photos and race slips. The 1971 Gremlin X Drag is the ultimate underdog reminder that sometimes the weirdest, ugliest cars pack the meanest punch. AMC may be gone, but its legacy of fearless, freaky, quarter-mile killers still lives, one burnout at a time. And that wraps up another wild ride through the rarest, fastest, and flat-out craziest classics to ever melt the quarter mile. Which one of these AMC underdogs would you risk it all for? The Rebel Machine's brute force, the Hornet SC/360 sleeper vibe, or the Gremlin X's outlaw edge? Drop your pick in the comments. We love hearing your stories, your builds, and the legends parked in your garage. If you enjoyed this trip down muscle car memory lane, smash that like button, share it with your fellow gearheads, and hit subscribe so you never miss the next forgotten legend we dig up. Stay tuned, because at Top 5 Classic Car, the next rare ride is always just around the bend.